What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Steel City Muscle Podcast. It's your boy Big Lou, back with another episode. We're on episode 10. It's been a couple weeks since we last had a podcast. I guess when you're looking for content, you're trying to, when you're trying to make it as authentic as possible, you gotta sometimes, take a step back and let that content come to you. So for me, since I like to use a lot of content that I see in real life, sometimes you gotta let life happen and then talk about it, give your opinions. And if you're from the Steel City, if you're from Pittsburgh, a lot of things have been happening lately in the city. So I've been taking notes and jotting down things that I have an opinion about, that I want to talk about and discuss with you guys today. I would love feedback. Feel free to email me at 412steelcitymuscle@gmail.com. We also have a YouTube channel, 412 Steel City Muscle. And all the podcasts are posted there as well. So, like, share, subscribe, and share the podcast with, all your friends and anybody you know. Anybody's more than welcome to be a guest on the podcast. We can talk about anything you want. I have a raw and uncut policy here. No judgment, no scrutiny, we want positive vibes, obviously, but it has to be authentic. That's like my number one rule for anybody that comes on the podcast, is to talk authentic. And, if you want to be politically correct, that's cool if that's you. If it's not you, then don't do that. Like, how I talk on a podcast is how I talk to people in real life and in person. For those who are new to the channel, my name is Big Lou. My real name is Lewis. I got that name because from family. It's not an egotistical name, but, I love my name. I embrace my name. Steel City Muscle is, obviously I live in Pittsburgh. That's a Steel City. I'm heavy into fitness. I'm a fitness coach. I've been a natural bodybuilder since 2008. I've been a personal trainer to hundreds, if not thousands of people. So there you go, Steel City Muscle. So SCM Nation is what I call the podcast, subscribers and supporters. So you're more than welcome to join SCM Nation. Merchandise will be coming soon. I want to help this thing grow, and the only way to do it is to feed into it, not to sound corny, not to sound, political, not to sound pushy or anything like that. Just shoot the shit. Come straight off the dome. And I want to formulate these conversations to be conversations like we would have as if we were in person, and you'll see, like, whether I'm on a podcast by myself or if I have special guests, which I will, we talk the same. Like, the same way I talk in person is the same way I talk on a podcast. So I want to get right into it. Like I said, I do cater a lot of my content toward my city because I feel like Pittsburgh needs to be put on the map, and a lot of things happen here that either other cities can learn from, or, we can just share and enlighten people about what goes on in our city. So, I'm a bouncer at a nightclub, as a secondary job. I love that job. I've been bouncing for 21 years. You learn a lot of interesting things, but you also see a lot of interesting things, and, a lot of security stories I'm going to have on the podcast. I'm going to bring my brother Ray on. We're going to have some stories, that are interesting and funny, and other security guards, that I'm close friends with. And we're going to go from there. So I want to jump right into the state of current events. Obviously, if you're somebody who's, you're big on social media, on Twitter recently in the last few weeks, we've seen some crazy things that have been happening in Pittsburgh. And I want to speak on that because I feel like a lot of things happen that never come to the light, which is cool. That's fine. Not everybody needs to know the dirty laundry of the city, and that's fine. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because there's a demographic of, positive people, and there's a demographic of bad people in the city, which I think there's like that in every city. The problem is, just like they say, there's always one bad apple in the bunch. Well, the problem is when any individual from the bad apple, from the bad bunch, does anything, it projects an image over the entire city, and then the good people of the city or other cities who want to visit here or who just want to, have genuine good fun, they get turned off to the idea of the nightlife or the dating scene. And that's not right. Like, that's not right. Not to mention the young lady who was involved in this video that was on Twitter, which I'm not going to say what she did. If you want to find out, go on Twitter. You can look it up. Foxtail Twitter, Foxtail, pool party, something like that. You'll be able to find it. What the young lady did, first of all, let's get this clear. She wasn't from Pittsburgh. She wasn't from Pittsburgh. She was from Detroit. The other thing I want to talk about that you got to mention too, not only was she not from Pittsburgh, but the girl's profession is she's a stripper. So the act in which she did is something you would see in a strip club. So to her, it might have been no big deal, but to everybody else, obviously, wrong place, wrong time, and inappropriate completely. I get it. But I brought this up in other podcasts, like how people don't call out the bad apples, which this young lady was, the bad apples who can even spoil a good time and a good evening that maybe everybody else was having. Now, there were other incidents that happened there that day. But I'm just saying it was never nothing that was over the top like what she had done. So I would say, like, to me, there's enough blame to go around. It's not my job or my responsibility to blame anybody, but I'm going to give my opinion for somebody who's worked security in strip clubs and in, bougie nightclubs. I've worked in a country club. I've worked at private events, rich people events, and I've worked in a trap. What she did was something that should have been in a trap or the strip club. Again, here's the issue that I think nobody's even acknowledging. Whenever you want to prevent a certain demographic from being in an area that is not used to that type of behavior, you cannot have what those type of people like at your establishment. What do I mean? If I'm a robber and my mindset is I want to rob people, where am I going to go? I'm going to go where people don't have alarm systems. I'm going to go where people aren't protecting their valuables. That's where I'm going to go. Well, think of that from a club standpoint. If I'm a person who wants to stir up trouble or wants to do something provocative that's outside of the norm, I'm going to go where I'm going to be able to do that. What they also think about is, okay, well, what's the type of environment I can do that in? Whether it be the type of music they play, the dress code that they have or lack thereof. People are going to go where if I'm a guy who likes to wear hats, I'm going to go to places that allows me to wear a hat. If I like to wear Timberland boots, I'm going to go to places that allow me to wear Timberland boots. If I like trap music, I'm going to go somewhere that's playing trap music. If I'm a stripper and I like certain music that I dance to and perform to, regardless of location, I'm going to go where I feel the most comfortable. I'm not validating what she did. I'm not justifying it. No, what I'm saying is that she felt comfortable going there. She felt comfortable enough not only going there, but assessing the scenery and still doing what she did. So all I'm saying is that as a community, as a club community, to preserve our lifestyles, because there's a lot of people out of jobs now because of what she did. And this woman's not even in our city. And people are out of jobs. The people that I've previously worked with, who I know, been cool with, and they're out of jobs from somebody who's an outsider. So I hope that this is a lesson learned that, we if we want to have some type of sustainability of a consistent customer base that is not going to be out with the mindset of breaking rules, we got to do what we got to do to create the environments that don't attract those type of people. If that I hope that makes sense to people who are in the industry, who listen to the podcast, and you know who you are, Like I said, I'm not bashing any nightclub or anything, because like, some of those people were my friends who worked there, and I feel bad for them. And it makes it worse that an outsider did it. Who's someone who does not live here, who's not from here. And may face consequences, and that's fine. That's, that's cool. But she's not a native Pittsburgh person. But because of the environment, obviously through reputation that she might have heard about all the way from Detroit, she felt comfortable enough doing the act that she did with a friend. I think what we got to do is, as a community, whether it's the South Side, local communities, suburbs, downtown Pittsburgh, whatever the case may be, we got to change the morale of the type of people we want to invite in our establishments. And then that way, in turn, it might entice the positive people of the city to come out and deter the negative people of the city, the bad apples of the city, to stay at home or or find somewhere else to go that won't affect the masses, And for most people who don't know, I believe Carson Street has the most bars per square mile in a strip in the country. I think there's like 53 bars in like a 4-mile radius. So we want to preserve that, and we love the way our city is set up and can have a good time. And the potential is crazy in our city. But we got to do a better job at preserving that and guaranteeing that we're not creating environments to draw out the negative, and we'll go from there. I mean, I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today. This will probably be a 2-parter. Obviously for sure, this is, part 1. I want to get into something else, that I saw was interesting, that I saw it on, what I call ratchet TV or reality TV, with a lot of these, housewives and all that stuff and marriage counseling and all that stuff. The problem I have with those is, and I don't watch them for the most part, but if I accidentally flick past the channel or something and, you see something interesting, you might tune in. I'm going to pay attention to certain things that stand out to me, because first of all, I feel like a lot of that ratchet TV projects the worst of our cultures. They do. They're the bad apples of the bunch. Just because they got money doesn't mean that they're a good apple. Money doesn't make you a good person. It just doesn't. It makes you more of what you are. If you're a good person, you're a good person with money. You're probably going to be a better person. You're going to be more generous. You're going to be more positive. If you're a negative person with money, you're just going to be you're going to project that negativity more with a stronger platform. You just got the funds to project it more. That's it. So that don't make you any different. That doesn't mean you're going to change because you got more funds. If you're a person striving to be great and then you got better resources and more funds to be great, then guess what? You're going to be great. But if you're a bad person, you're an evil person, and now you got the resources to manifest your thought processes and your dreams and your goals, you're going to project that to the world. And that's just what it is. And I feel like it shows the ugly on TV, and there's people and networks in the background who are benefiting from it because they're making a lot of money behind that. But one topic that kind of bothered me that I seen a lot of couples, with couples therapy. And this is, not just against women or just against men. It's against both spouses, both genders of spouses. I don't like how people use, intercourse as a leverage tool to control their spouse. To me, that's dead wrong. Like, I see women on these shows, and I've seen women in real life who act like having intercourse with their spouse is some kind of like doggy treat, like it's a reward. And if they're not doing X, Y, and Z, they deny them of that. It's like, first of all, you agreed to the attraction. You agreed to the relationship. So you are attracted to that person too. So you denying them of that, you're actually depriving yourself as well, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. And vice versa. Men who are, good in bed, taking advantage of that toward women and using women to cook, clean, act obedient, or do whatever they want to do, to be misogynistic or whatever they want to do. That's messed up. That makes no sense. You both agreed to the relationship. You both agreed in the beginning you were attracted to one another. So controlling somebody by denying or giving them access to intercourse is insane. Because if you don't give it to them, you're denying yourself. And I don't condone cheating, but then you're also the one who's surprised that somebody cheated on you because you want to act like sex is irrelevant. It don't matter in relationships when it does. Because at the end of the day, you guys met based off of an attraction. Nothing about that attraction excludes sexual attraction. I'll say that again. When you initially meet somebody and their attraction is established, nothing about that attraction is excluded from sexual attraction. Period. So if you agree to that and y'all build something and you build a relationship to the point where, you know, you're living together, you're doing things together, why would you try to control somebody with that positive act, which is positive for both of you? And on the flip side to it, if that's the only thing that works that allows you to coexist with your partner, you probably with the wrong partner. Let's call it like that. And a lot of people don't want to admit when they're with the wrong partner, especially after you got a little bit of history. You know, when you get a little bit of history and you got a resume within your relationship, people are like, well, you know what? I don't want to restart. So I will try to make it last with this bad spouse. I'll try to make it work because I got a child with this bad spouse. I got friends, mutual friends with this bad spouse. So I'll make it work. No, you're doing both of you guys a disservice. You're actually helping each other by letting go because it's inevitable anyway. Are you waiting for the catastrophic event to happen so that, now you have a reason to let the person go? Is that what you're waiting for? But to stay in a situation like that and also try to use intercourse as a control mechanism, to me, that's insane and we got to stop that. As a culture, we got to stop that. Like, that's crazy to me. It makes no sense, And then also, when I also feel like, too, if we're going to project the worst of our culture on national TV and call it reality TV, which is not, it is reality, but some of the reality shows are not. They're partially scripted. They know what to talk about ahead of time. They know what they don't want put out there. So is it really reality? Not really. That's not realistic to even say that, And what I don't like is they always have a political spin to it somewhere where whether they want to talk about the state of politics, cancel culture, and people aren't genuine anymore because they fear cancel culture or they will say things that they never even thought about before just because they've seen it on the news and it's what's been going on in the world and it's current events. So they feel like, I can get brownie points with my audience if I speak on this. And that's not genuine. It's not genuine. I think you should speak on what you experience. And then we should share that information. And that's how podcasts work. That's how podcasts are so, can be so beneficial because you're talking about what you've actually experienced. I feel like anybody that talks about something that they haven't witnessed or experienced, you're not qualified. You're not qualified. And I try my best not to talk about anything that I haven't studied, researched, witnessed myself, or experienced myself. Because I feel like then I can give a genuine answer and I can say, I experienced that. What did I think in that moment? And do I have the ability to articulate that to an audience to the depth in which I want them to understand? And if I can do that, it'll be on the podcast for sure. But I want to go back to cancel culture. Let's talk about cancel culture. The concept, and I've seen a lot of celebrities talk about this too. I've seen Kevin Hart talk about it. Dave Chappelle talk about it. And I'm going to give my spin on it. First of all, I think there's two sides to it. cancel culture, the concept, the generalized concept behind it is you said something I don't agree with. You have a mindset, a position about a certain topic that I disagree with. I'm going to cancel you out of my life to the point where I hope you can't feed your family and provide for yourself and take care of yourself. And you deserve to not have that because of your views. Well, last time I checked, freedom of speech was universal. But the other part of freedom of speech is granting people around you that same freedom. And when you do that, there's always going to be a possibility that you're going to hear something you don't agree with. I mean, the average person, if you put a group of people together, they probably couldn't even agree on where to go eat for dinner. So then does that person deserve to lose the right to feed their family and lose their job and lose their career? When you put it like that, it sounds stupid. You're like, no, I just couldn't decide between Applebee's and TGI Fridays. I couldn't decide. So just get mad at them. Don't cancel them, though. And then on the other side of it, too, if you want to make it, political or whatever, you can say, all right, we can agree to disagree. What happened to that concept? We can agree to disagree. I don't got to embrace your thought process, but I also don't have the power, nor should I have the power to cancel your life, your lifestyle. That's insane. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. So then what you do is you almost put like genuineness on probation. People have a fear of being genuine because their genuineness will come with judgment. And what's so stupid about that is it's the judgment of strangers. Strangers can cancel my life based off of my opinion. How dumb does that sound? So I'll say this. What it does is it makes genuine people more of a rarity. Because that's how I feel. And you got to truly have that I don't give a F mentality to say, I don't care if I get canceled. Just because this needs to be said. My genuineness should not be attached to my braveness. I shouldn't have to be brave and fearless just to state an opinion. Why can't we just agree to disagree? We need to bring that back. We got to bring that back. We got to bring that back. Also too, I want to go back to, let's talk about, let's go back to the club culture, the club scene, the social scene in our city, man. I think we got to put it on us to go back to the old school. And I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man, but at the end of the day, the old school mentality was, when I was, my prime years of going out. I mean, I'm almost 40, but my prime years of going out was we actually went out to have fun. Like that was the mission. That was the goal. It wasn't to just get super wasted. It was to be social, meet people in a positive sense to where we can reconnect afterwards. But also the mission was to go out to have fun. Not people, you got women going out in whether they're groups or by themselves, going out and getting mad at people for talking to them. I'm like, hold on, you're in a social setting. Why would you come here to be antisocial? That doesn't make sense. You got dudes out here trying to impress other dudes by spending how much money they can spend. They want the world to see how much money they can spend or how much money they can waste and not care in dance clubs, but not dancing. In dance clubs, standing on couches, dressed in clothes that I would probably go do housework in, coming out the house in Crocs and flip-flops and gym gear to go out and to waste money, but still going home by themselves. I thought it was a social place. I thought you wanted to meet women. I thought you wanted to connect with people. We need to bring back the old initiative that people want to go out and have a good time. and for the establishments to go out and create the positive, good environment so that the people who are out to have a good time, that mindset can thrive and grow. And hopefully that happens. I hope that happens because those are more enjoyable nights. Those are more memorable nights that you'll remember for years. Those are the nights you remember with your friends. But these people, if you're antisocial, please stay out of social areas. Stay out of social settings. You bring the morale down. Why are we going to nightclubs and not, we're going to dance clubs and not dancing? You're going to bars and not drinking. What sense does that make? Let's go out, have a good time, enjoy everybody's company, and be safe and go home. If you got beef with somebody and you know they're going to be somewhere, man, catch them in your local neighborhood. Don't bring that to these social places, because the social places are there for only positive purposes. That's why they're there. So keep that stuff away. Also want to bring up, I'm all, obviously, like I said, this is Steel City Muscle. I'm all about fitness and positivity. And I want everybody, I said in previous podcasts, I want you to challenge yourself daily. So I want you to ask yourself a question. What did you do to challenge yourself today to be better? To be a better person, a better spouse, a better sibling, a better employee, a better boss? What did you do? And like I said, the severity of the answer to that question is up to you. It can be so minuscule, like coming to work 2 minutes early. It could be, I skipped that ice cream today to get in better shape. Because again, you made the decision to be better. If you made the decision to be better, you got to hold yourself accountable to be able to answer that question. How did I make myself better today? So if you can't do that, I want you to reassess your next day. Reassess and say, hey, what did I do to be better? Did I get to work a little bit earlier today? Was I productive today? Did I put gas in my car today? Did I pack my kids' lunch today? Did I check on my spouse today? Say, hey, hello, how you doing? What did I do to be better today in any aspect of your life? Did you wake up and do your hair today? Guys, did you go get a haircut? Did you shave? Did you smell good when you left the house? Like, think of what your daily challenge is, I talked about something I want to elaborate on different podcasts is the whole concept of, who, what, why, where, and when. And I want to break down each one in different podcasts. So today I want to talk about when. When is so broad, but you could say, what I'm really referring to is, when did you decide to make a goal? When did you decide? When did you decide to find out what it takes to achieve that goal? When did you decide to put those things in motion? When did you decide that you were ready to receive the benefits of the goal setting that you set forth? When? Because if you ask yourself when, and you're able to set a timetable as to deadlines and hold yourself accountable as to achieving those deadlines. When did you decide to connect with that business partner? When did you decide to reach out to look for a new business partner? When did you decide to be a better person? When did you decide to get in shape? When did you decide that you're going to eat right to get in better shape? When did you decide to be a better spouse? Did it take a tragedy in order for you to do that? Did you do something crappy just to do that? Figure out what it took for you to make that decision. When did it happen? What led to it happening? Because that matters as well. Make sure that when you decided your when, that the lead up to it was positively driven. And then the honesty behind figuring out your when. Like, when did you decide you deserved what you wanted? Did you really reassess to see that you deserved it? When did you decide that you were successful, that you achieved whatever you sought out to achieve? And that matters because Identifying your achievements allows you to set new goals, because you should not set new goals without achieving the old ones. You got to be able to sit back and honestly and genuinely decide or recognize when you did something, when you did certain steps in your life. When did you do stuff wrong? When did you do stuff right? And what's the cause and effects behind those wins happening? We all got to make decisions, but we also got to have the ability to recognize why we make our decisions and recognizing the results of those decisions, whether they're good and in our benefit or they're negative and are not in our benefit, because lessons aren't learned in the positive. Lessons aren't learned in success. And I said this in a previous episode. There's no lessons to be learned in success. The lessons are to be learned in the failures. Because growth doesn't come from success. Growth comes from failure. Because if you fail, the very second that you do something positive after that, that's growth. That's growth. And you're more likely to obtain growth after a failure than after a success. Contentness comes naturally sometimes with success. Relaxation, calmness are more likely to come from success than failure. Panic, growth, stress come from failure. When you're able to recognize that I failed, motivation, drive comes from failure, not from success. It's harder to be motivated after you've achieved something. It's more difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot more difficult. Then after you fail, you say, oh man, I wanted to lose 15 pounds. I only lost 10. You may consider that a failure, a small failure, because you did not achieve your goal. But guess what? It's going to drive you after that. I know what it took for me to lose 10. I got to figure something out to figure out why I didn't lose that extra 5. And how can I do that? That's drive. That's motivation. That's being created right then and there. Win comes with recognition of everything that's going on in your life, and it requires you to reassess. And you should not have a fear of reassessment of your life. And I'm going to talk about this in the next episode. You know, the stresses of success, the failures of success, and the lessons learned within. I think that, and I'm sorry for the pause, you know, sometimes I take a step back and I want to make sure I'm articulating the message the way I intended, the way I thought about it. Whether you agree or disagree, that's great. But if I think a certain way about something, I want to make sure that you understand that I thought about it in this manner from this angle, you know. So I want you to challenge yourself daily, recognize your win, and allow your win to provide recognition for where you're at in your life in different states of your life. And then you can start learning how to focus on acting accordingly to what you discovered. And man, reach out to me on Instagram, 412 steelcitymuscle, if you guys want to be a guest on the show, guest on the podcast. If you have topics, maybe you don't want to be on a show, but you have topics that you think would be interesting, or you want to learn my perspective, reach out to me on Instagram, 412 steelcitymuscle. Same thing, 412 steelcitymuscle on YouTube. Follow us, like, share, and subscribe. And it's your boy Big Lou, and I'm out. I'll see you on the next episode.